We're launching a fashion and lifestyle show here on the Young Turks called Styleog.
Taking pride in your appearance and dressing and hearing it from real people. So make sure to stay tuned. We're going to bring you fun segments and just looking at how you can basically further yourself and be self-confident in how you dress.
Back on the Young Turks. For those of you watching on the live stream, we had a fundamental changeover that we had done today. It screwed up something in the beginning. We're back, as you can tell. Sorry about that problem, but and especially because we didn't, to be honest with you, an awesome first segment. Okay, JR had a compilation ad of the Republicans that was phenomenal.
Really, you guys should have been there.
Should have been there. Okay, sorry. But no, Jesus. No, I'm actually going to talk about Jesus in a second. He's a bad guy. You're looking at a bad guy right there. Okay.
I fucking killed it, bro.
So he does control the camera, so that's a bit of an issue. You did direct it. You did direct it well, I'll give you that. Anyway, but if that's the privileges of membership. If you're a member, you will get to see the whole show, no problem whatsoever, okay? And the reason Jesus is a bad guy is because I just found out he will not be attending the premiere of Mad as Hell in LA. Okay, what is it, like you got some lame excuse like it's your birthday or something?
No, I have tickets to see the Black Keys, so I'm sure people are going to understand.
Okay, nobody knows the Black Keys. Nobody's interested in that. Okay, all right, bad guy. But the rest of us will all be there. JR's going to be there. Irina's going to be there. Anna's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Dave Culver's going to be there. Steve-O's going to be there. I think all the network stars will be there too. When are we doing Battle of the Network Stars? Oh, we got to do that. You guys remember old school Battle of the Network Stars? ABC versus CBS versus NBC? No. Jesus, I'm old. Okay. Anyways, let's move forward. Okay, let's go to Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin has a PAC, and if you give money to it, you are an unbelievable sucker. Okay, but hey, I'm a lib, man. Don't trust me, right? She's probably great. She raises money for Republicans. You know better. Take your hard-earned money and give it to her. Well, but before you do that, let me just show you the facts, okay? Now, in this 2-year election cycle, she did a good job of raising money, $2.7 million. Nice job, Sarah. There you go. You see that? And I'm disparaging good old Sarah Palin's PAC here, okay? Now, how much did she give to actual candidates? That's a slightly lower number, $150,000. Oops. Let's do some math on that. That means she gave away 5.5% of the donations. Understand the donations are for the purpose of giving to Republican candidates. Real Republicans, real conservatives. Sarah's going to pick them out for you, and then she's going to take your hard-earned cash, put 94% of it in her pocket, and then give 5% to the real conservatives out there fighting the good fight who are going to get elected and retake the Senate and keep the House and all that stuff. You're such a sucker. Okay, well, no, wait. Look, let's be fair. That's over a 2-year cycle, okay? But how about this year? This is the election year. Election's around the corner, right? Obviously did much better, right? Well, they have $1.4 million of cash in hand. Wait a minute. How much of that did they spend? $45,000 went to the candidates. $45,000. That is just 3% of the money that they took in this year. 3%. They have no interest in helping those candidates. You know what her PAC's for? To help her. All right, so let's go to opensecrets.org that tracks all this information for you. Now, they didn't spend it on the candidates. They didn't spend it on Republicans or conservatives. What did they spend it on? Let's find out. Many of the same consultants that she has used all along for speechwriting, fundraising, logistics, and research. There's even someone paid to consult on coalitions. Travel, presumably for Palin, is part of the equation. A PAC like this is useful for keeping a high profile nationally without having to pay those pesky airline and hotel tabs out of personal funds. And the PAC sent $10,885 to HarperCollins, publisher of all 3 of Palin's books, for quote, donor fulfillment. That wasn't the only book purchased by the committee. A lump sum of $13,000 was listed as being spent for lodging, SUV rental, and books for donors. Well, sounds like she spent your money really well at the Ritz-Carlton. Well, high-profile celebrity like this, I mean, she's got to go to nice hotels. She's got to have the perfect SUVs and all the plane rides back and forth. And, I mean, she can't stay with the unwashed masses with you guys. She's got to be up front. That takes a lot of money. And all of her consultant friends, they circle that money around, right? There's apparently someone doing research at her PAC. Really? On what? What did they write? What did she write in her hand? Freedom? Did that require a lot of money to research? Now, once again, let's be fair here, okay? Now, Sarah Palin has probably done the same thing you guys have, right? You gave her your money. She's probably given a lot of money to candidates herself from her own funds as well, right? So let's take a look at her lifetime donations. Not this cycle, not this year, lifetime donations. Palin herself has only donated $628 to a federal candidate in her entire life. $628, period. She is playing you for a fool. So this is not for liberals. Liberals aren't giving her any money. Moderates aren't giving her any money. She's saying the people who most trust her and betraying that trust. So if you got outwitted by Sarah Palin, I'm not sure that speaks well of you, okay? So next time around when you go to give her money, hey, listen, that's your call, but I wouldn't suggest it. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to give you friendly advice. But if you're not interested in facts, that's your problem. She's got a wonderful first-class ticket with her name written all over it with your money. $628 she's given. All right, yeah. 3%? She gave 3% to the candidates. All right. A fool is born every minute, right? All right, here we go. Lawrence Lessig's PAC, Mayday PAC, is terrific. What they want to do is they want to get out corruption, right? So they've done something fairly smart, which is to say, hey, listen, if you're taking a lot of donor money and you're fighting against any kind of campaign finance reform, you're fighting every effort to get money out of politics. You like money in politics. You're an incumbent, you have taken money, and then you have done the bidding of those donors. Well, we're going to come for you because we want to be like, for lack of a better example, like the NRA. You know that if you cross the NRA as a politician, there's going to be consequences, right? So they're saying now, if you cross the American people and you are corrupt, there's going to be consequences. We're going to spend a lot of money to get you out of politics. I actually love the plan, right? Now, turns out that the politicians that they're spending the money against don't like it. And prime example is Fred Upton, who's apparently up to no good. And he does not like that Mayday PAC has come for him. When they start squealing, to me, that's good news that you're being effective. They have spent anywhere between $1.5 to $2 million against Fred Upton. Now, he's a very powerful guy in the House. He runs the Energy and Commerce Committee, and there's a lot of donors that'd be interested in that committee. So now that they've heard him a little bit and they've got his attention, he's going to go fight back. Now, how is he going to fight back? Well, in the most ironic way possible, by threatening to be more corrupt. So we go to the Huffington Post for an explanation here. According to people familiar with the situation, committee staff director and former super lobbyist Gary Andrus personally has been calling the CEOs of major Silicon Valley tech companies, hammering them for coming after Upton and spooking Mayday's donors who worry their companies will get rougher treatment when and if Upton survives. How do you like this for irony? Oh, you're accusing me of being corrupt? Well, I'm going to send my super lobbyist after you. And he's going to threaten you that if you don't play ball, when I get into office, I'm not going to care about policy. I don't care about my ideology. All I'm going to do is be vindictive and try to make sure that your efforts at rooting out corruption are met with further corruption against you. Okay, great. Well, thank you for proving our point, Fred Upton. Well, let's go to the candidate himself. Let's go to his quotes and see what he has to say. He says, I do know that some of the folks that funded the PAC, and as I've talked to them, they are or they were under the illusion that this was a group that was trying to focus on dysfunction and taking it out, getting people that can work together. And the people that I've talked to, some of them have put 6 figures into this PAC, they are really ashamed. They are distraught. They said they were taken for a ride. It's too late. They bought the stuff, and it came out of the blue. Nothing came out of the blue. Mayday PAC was incredibly clear. They said they would spend it against incumbents that are fighting against campaign finance reform, the people who want to keep money in politics, put it in their pocket, use it for their campaigns, and do the bidding of their donors. That's Fred Upton in a nutshell. They're doing exactly what they were supposed to do. Now, I don't know if what he's relaying about the donors is true or untrue, but it seems like an old mafia move, right? You go and you have a conversation and you make an offer you can't refuse. You remember, if I win in the committee, you're going to have a lot of issues. You sure you want to donate that way? Why don't you come out here and tell us how ashamed you are? So if that wasn't specific enough, well, they got specific on issues. Andres, the super lobbyist, also argued that Upton has been one of the few Republicans in favor of immigration reform, which the Silicon Valley crowd has spent millions pushing. He's talking about the Silicon Valley donors that gave to Mayday PAC. And one of the things they care most about is the immigration issue. They want to be able to bring engineers from all across the world who have expertise that they can use in their companies and grow their companies. And what he's saying is, how dare you give money against me? So because of that, I will kill your initiatives that you care about. Unless, of course, you change your mind and you give me even more money. And if you bribe me appropriately, then you might get the immigration reform that you want. Well, thank you for clarifying exactly what we're fighting against. So now, one last piece of this. In his calls with the CEOs, Andres told donors that Mayday was picking the wrong target in Upton. Upton played a role in passing Shays Meehan, the House version of the McCain-Feingold campaign finance reform bill that the Supreme Court later gutted. Now, is it true that he's actually in favor of campaign finance reform? Absolutely not. I'm going to prove that to you in a second, okay? But why is he saying that? Oh, so it turns out that if we do make an issue out of this, then all of a sudden you're going to turn around and go, yeah, but I was for campaign finance reform. Yeah, of course I want to get money out of politics. Sure I do. So it turns out Larry Lessig was right, that if you actually get realistic in politics and you spend money against these politicians and all of a sudden they get scared of you, they turn around and go, yeah, of course, yeah, I was on your side. I don't know why you're even hitting me. Sure, of course. How do we get money out of politics? Oh, interesting, all of a sudden. Now, I say all of a sudden because here's his real record. An advisor to the Mayday PAC countered that Upton, whatever his past support, has not signed on to any of the campaign finance reform bills, either Democratic or Republican ones now in Congress. Upton also voted against the Disclose Act, which would have rolled back some of the Citizens United, the Supreme Court decision he says he disagreed with. Well, he's got a funny way of disagreeing with the decision. He will not roll back any of it. So you have the proper context. The Disclose Act just says, hey, continue to take bribes. Just tell us who's giving you the money. It should be the easiest reform possible. In fact, even in Citizens United, Justice Kennedy said, well, obviously they'll disclose their donors. Well, it turns out it's not obvious because of corrupt politicians like Fred Upton who don't want to disclose their donors. And if any donor goes against them, will promise vengeance and payback and strike back. This is exactly the kind of politics as usual that Mayday PAC, our PAC, Wolf PAC is fighting against, okay? We're both united in fighting against these forces of corruption. So don't believe a word of what Fred Upton says, except the part where he threatens you. That part he's very serious about because he's rooted in this corruption. And in terms of being able to get him out, of course, I wish Mayday PAC the best of luck. And if they succeed, it could give a little encouragement to the donors. Hey, you know what? Don't get spooked. Don't get so scared. Turns out you can actually do the right thing and have it work. If Fred Upton wins, and then he does retribution, etc., oh, those donors, I'm afraid they're going to run for the hills. Look, the one thing about Wolfpack is we made a decision early on. We don't care about rich donors. You know, everybody always goes after rich donors. Oh my God, I'm going to get $5 million. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm not begrudging Mayday PAC. They did an amazing job of raising the money, and they got it, right? But our plan is, no, we're going to rely on you guys. They say it's foolish. Oh yeah, you can't do it, etc. We've been doing it, son. Okay, and there's a lot of groups, not Mayday PAC, which does a great effort, and a lot of groups spinning their wheels. We already got California and Vermont. We're past the committee in Illinois and New Jersey. We're introduced in 10 states already. Likely next year, over 20 states, our resolution is going to be introduced. And how do we do it? We did it with your donations, $5, $25 at a time. Because you know what happens when you get rich people's donations? At some point, they realize they're rich. A lot of those donors are actually libertarians. And they like it when the Republicans kill regulation, right? And they lower their taxes. So now they're a little worried. I don't need your stinking money, okay? We can do this if we band together. Anyway, now, all of a sudden, I care a lot about the election because the Fred Upton election is almost as important as every other one combined, okay? So if you live in Upton's district, whatever you do, go vote against him. How's that for clear? All right. Now, let's go forward. So, the American government, of course, collects a lot of money, and we're told that liberals are in favor of bigger government, which I find to be ridiculous. Matt Stoller once had a great analogy about this that I use from time to time. Ask you a simple question. What kind of pipe do you need? Well, I don't know. It depends on the job, doesn't it? Of course! What kind of government do you need? Well, it depends on the job, isn't it? So we're not in favor of bigger government. We're not in favor of smaller government. It depends, right? You want to build a highway? You're going to need a slightly larger government. Do you want the government spying in on you? No, I want a smaller government in that case. So now one of the great ways that they have wasted our money with big government we are not in favor of is the endless wars. But built into the endless wars is another level of stupidity. It's when you combine the war on terrorism, whatever that is, with the war on drugs. Do you know that in the span of about a decade in Afghanistan, in order to fight opium production, we have spent, the American taxpayers, $7.6 billion. But we don't have money to feed kids. We don't have money to educate kids. We don't have money to give your kids a fair chance, but $7.6 billion flushed down the toilet. Now, why is it flushed down the toilet? Well, let's take a look at a chart of opium growth in Afghanistan. Oops. Oops, 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 oops. Turns out that it has skyrocketed. Not only has it not been cut, it has gone up exponentially. $7.6 billion totally and utterly wasted. You know how much money they make from opium in Afghanistan? Well, in 2012, they made $2 billion. That's a lot of money, right? Well, in 2013, they made $3 billion. How many industries in Afghanistan you think are making $3 billion a year? Let me clue you in. Not a lot. So the reality is you're never going to stop that industry. $3 billion a year in Afghanistan? Oh, they're going to grow that opium and they're going to sell that opium. You can spend all the money in the world and you won't be able to stop it. Okay? And especially not the way we're doing it, which is completely counterproductive. Now, when you ask the American government about that, they go, us? No, it's them, it's them, it's them. Don't blame me. Here's a quote from Assistant Secretary of Defense. The failure to reduce poppy cultivation and increase eradication is due to the lack of Afghan government support for the effort. The goddamn Afghans, it's all their fault. Okay, now, there's some truth to that. Hamid Karzai, who ran the country for a very long time, well, there's significant allegations that his brother is in the drug business. Oops. Well, then don't spend the $7 billion that way when you know his brother's in the drug business, or you highly suspect it. And you know they're not going to do anything about it. They haven't done anything about it before. They're not going to do anything about it in the future. So why continue to pour the money in? Because somebody gets rich off that money. It's not like it goes nowhere. It goes into somebody's pocket, takes from the taxpayers, redistributes it, oftentimes to incredibly wealthy companies that don't do a goddamn thing with it. All right. Now, one last piece of excuses from all the people involved here, and let's give you a sense of how sad this all is. Din Mohammed Mobarez Rashidi, Afghanistan's acting minister of counter-narcotics, and Yuri Fedotov, the executive director of the UNODC, said that Afghan and American officials are making progress and that authorities seize roughly 10% of Afghan poppy production. First of all, how many times have we heard we're making progress? Still, we're making progress in Afghanistan? After you see the chart, you can still say we're making progress? Second of all, what are you bragging about? That you stopped 10% of the production? I'm not sure I believe that, but even if I did believe that, that means you haven't stopped 90% of it, which is growing exponentially. You're the worst. Now, again, this is terrible results for us, but it's not like mission wasn't accomplished. Believe me, people got very rich off of this completely unproductive and oftentimes counterproductive program where we wasted taxpayer money. And round we go in this incredibly corrupt system. Okay. Now, speaking of which, we go to a poll on corruption, and we'll see how we did there, okay? God, these shows fly by. Okay.
We are making good progress. We're making progress.
All right. Gallup has done a study called Global States of Mind 2014. They released it with the Meridian Global Leadership Summit, and it tracks how disaffected people are with their government all throughout the world. Well, that's very interesting. I want to see who came in at the bottom here. They have the bottom 12. They're actually slightly wrong. There's one other country that we need to show you about. I'll get to that in a minute. But first, what are the factors for why people might be dissatisfied with their government? Well, 3 factors are listed as the main ones, and I think they make sense. Perception of your economic future. If your economic future looks bleak, well, then you, of course, don't have a great perception of your government. And the gap between potential and reality, that's very important, because a lot of countries have a lot of education, but also high unemployment. So it seems like they should have a lot of potential, but the reality is not so good, and that creates a real big problem. And then the third one, I believe, is the most important. Perception of how corrupt your government is. And you'll see in the numbers how well that matches up, okay? First, let me show you one piece of number that they quoted here in 24/7 Wall Street that explained this phenomenon. In 10 of the 12 nations with the lowest governmental approval ratings, more than 80% of those polled believe that government corruption was widespread in 2013. So out of the bottom 12, 10 of them thought that corruption was totally out of control. So let's go quickly to the list from 12 to number 1, okay? And then I'll add the last country. Spain, their government approval rating is 20%, abysmal. They believe government corruption is at 89% believe that it is widespread. Their unemployment rate is 26.1%. If you only saw this country, you'd say, well, look, that unemployment rate is unbelievable. That probably has a lot more to do with it than any other factor. But keep going. Now you go to Portugal next. They also are at 20% approval of their government. 86% say that government corruption is widespread, and their unemployment rate is 16%. Now that's 10% lower than Spain, but still disastrous, right? Now let's go to Jamaica. Again, 20% approval of the government. Corruption is widespread is 86%. Unemployment rate is 15.3%. So those 3 are in agreement. Bad unemployment, bad corruption leads to great dissatisfaction with the government. All right, now here's where it starts to get a little interesting. Costa Rica is next. They're also at 20% approval for their government, but corruption is at 84%. Unemployment's only at 8.1%. Now, that's not great, but it's not disastrous. There's a lot worse in the world. So for Costa Rica, apparently the number 1 issue doesn't appear to be unemployment. But corruption is always the standard. Number 1 concern, okay? Again, that's me looking at the numbers here and interpreting it in ways that other people have interpreted as well. You look at the numbers and make your own decision. Romania, it's at 18% approval for government. 77% believe corruption is widespread. Unemployment rate's only 7.3%. But still they're in the top 12 most dissatisfied with their government. Same in Peru. Approval's at 18%. Government corruption, 86% believe is widespread. Unemployment rate is only 7.5%. Pakistan, this is really interesting. 18% approve of their government. Corruption, everybody's worried about it. 81% believe that it's widespread. Unemployment rate is only 6.2% in Pakistan. I wouldn't have guessed that. So that is not a bad rate at all, given the world context. So Pakistan, the unemployment rate is not the biggest issue, clearly. But like most of these other countries, 4 out of 5 people saying this government sucks, it's so corrupt, okay? Moldova is next, 18%, 86% for corruption. Unemployment rate's down to 5.1%. Well, God bless the economy of Moldova. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but you know what? Obviously, the unemployment is not the issue there. Czech Republic, approval is all the way down at 15% for their government. 87% believe government is corrupt. Unemployment rate is only 7%. Greece, unemployment rate again becomes a huge problem. Approval rating of the government is only 14%. 91% believe the corruption is widespread, one of the largest numbers in the world. Unemployment rate is a gigantic 27.3%. Bulgaria, approval is only 13% of government. Corruption, 79%. Unemployment rate, 13%. Pretty bad. And then Bosnia, Herzegovina, approval of government is at 8%. 91% believe that corruption is widespread, and unemployment rate is a gigantic 27%. Okay, so what's the one country they left out? Well, in all these countries, they ask, do you approve of your government? When it came to the U.S., the metric that they used was President Obama's approval rating, which is at 42%. Now, that's not good, but it's much better than these numbers, right? But wait a minute, that's not whether we approve of our government or not. That number is very partisan. So a lot of Republicans will hate President Obama just because he's from the other party, but a lot of Democrats will support President Obama just because he's from their party. If you ask about our government, Congress, not Republican or Democrat, not an individual candidate, but Congress, in 2013, we were at 9% approval, 86% disapproval, okay? Now, to be fair to us, we have improved vastly. This year, we're at 12% approval, 83% disapproval. So, in fact, if you put the U.S. with the proper reading of the numbers into this system, we hate our government second most in the world. Thank God for the Bosnians. If it wasn't for the Bosnians, we'd be number one in approval of our government. We hate our government. Now, here's what's interesting. Unemployment rate's not bad, 5.9%. Believe government corruption is widespread. Now, if you ask the question in that way, you're not going to get 96%. But if you ask the question, do you believe that money has a corrupting influence on our politics, our government? There is a poll on that. It's 96%. So even though our unemployment rate isn't bad, economically, we're actually doing fairly well compared to the rest of the world. Europe is struggling a lot more than we are. And obviously, other parts of the developing world are struggling more. Some are doing better, right? But overall, our economic context is not bad. But we believe that money has corrupted our politics entirely. 96% of the country believes that. So hence, our dissatisfaction with our government is sky high, second worst in the world. That's the reality of the American government. If you don't get money out of politics, people will continue to be dissatisfied because they understand, whether it's conscious or unconscious, they know in their bones that these so-called representatives don't represent us. They represent the people who pay them, their donors. We already have that memo. The next memo is how we fix it. You want to see where that memo is? You go to wolf-pack.com. We have the plan to fix it. We've already begun the plan. We've already had success in that plan. And we're not going to stop until we clean it up. Now, here's the day I look forward to. Not only do we get the 28th Amendment, getting money out of politics, but one day they do a poll many years later, and all of a sudden, after we've solved the corruption problem the best we can, my guess is that the approval rating of Congress is nowhere near 12%, that it is significantly, shockingly higher. You think, oh, no, that's not true. We've always hated our Congress. Not true. Before money poured into the system, with a couple of Supreme Court decisions in the 1970s that changed everything, allowed corporations to give unlimited money to politicians, that's when it began, not at Citizens United. It started in 1976 and 1978. Before then, congressional approval ratings were actually rock solid. They weren't in the 90s or the 80s or anything, but compared to the rest of the world, they were wonderful. Because Congress at that time, before the money came in, actually represented us. And it can again. We are supposed to perfect this union. That's what the Founding Fathers intended. Let's do it. Let's get that amendment passed and rewrite the code. Make sure that we fix this virus in the system. The way to do it is at wolf-pack.com. Young Turks. That was a segment from hour one of the show.
Now for the better hour, the second hour.
Drums. You can get the whole show on TYT-network.com. right, back on the Young Turks. Welcome back to our place of amusement. Rudy Bouquet with a second tweet of the day that I'm reading. To quote Eddie Murphy, quoting Richard Pryor, Bill, have a Diet Coke and shut the fuck up.
Damn.
I'm not saying it. That was Richard Pryor originally. Okay. Jojo Joe says, Portland's foodie scene is out of control delicious. Every day my taste buds fight over what's on the menu.
So true.
But seriously, because of what you said and what Jojo Joe said, which is an awesome name, I want to go back to Portland. Like, I'm jonesing for Portland now.
Yeah, and first of all, there's no sales tax, which, I mean, I guess
What kind of lib are you?
I know. Maybe I shouldn't be an advocate for that, but I kind of am.
That's all right. It's a regressive tax.
It is a regressive tax, see? And also, so the food's really cheap, and then they're really big on organic, healthy, whole foods. So you're like eating this healthy, affordable food, and you're like, oh my God, I want to live here. I'm gonna move to Portland at some point. There's no question.
Agree to disagree. There's definitely a question.
No.
Okay. And not to say that I'm not interested in Portland. It's just like your declaration that you will at some point live in Portland is outrageous.
I will. It's probably going to be when I'm retired, if I ever retire. But
okay. Amanda Thompson says, glad to be a new member to watch PG Live. Oh, yeah. TYTnetwork.com/PG Live. That's where you can watch the post-game live today, going forward, and the Sam Harris interview. You guys will be the first to see it well ahead of everyone else. Okay?
awesome.
And in today's post game, my pet peeve, which I'm going ballistic over, Anna's got pulled over by a cop. Did you pull him over? Or did he pull you over? And and a super trippy story. Remember how we were talking about trippy deja vu stuff? Guess what happened after the show? Oh, I'll tell you in the PG. I like the new term, the PG. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I gotta say couple more tweets here. Iskandar Ben Amor says, this TYT Live blooper reel just improved my quality of life, especially the part with the surprise Arabic music. Have you seen our blooper reel?
I know that there are a few of them. I don't know if I've seen the one that he or she is referring to.
All right, Screet Gill says, I voted today. Yay, thank you, suffragettes. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Katie Satin, and all the women that fought rights to vote. So a lot of people are doing the voting ahead of time, okay? And if it wasn't for the suffragist movement, you would have never had the opportunity to vote if you're a woman. So it turns out fighting for amendments makes a lot of sense.
Those dirty feminists.
Wolf-back.com. And finally, the real Ken Jones says, what's the deal with Fred Upton? I was distracted by the dead rat on his head. Sorry. Let me read the members. Lars Larson. Really? Member number 1712. Isn't Lars Larson a conservative talk show host? We're going to have to look that up. Lars Larson. Yeah. Okay. Thomas Gibbs, member number 390. Okay. Fascinating. All you guys, Sam Harris thing live and post games live. And election coverage, November 4th, 8 p.m. right here. Eastern.
He is Lars Larson, based in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, in Portland. See? It all connects. I'm telling you, we've got to do the post game. I'm going to trip you out.
We've got to do the little sound effect.
Okay. All right, well, Lars, no problem. We're here to educate. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. All right, let's keep going.
What percentage of Americans consider themselves online trolls? Well, thankfully, we have a poll that gives us that answer. YouGov actually surveyed more than 1,000 individuals, and they found out through these respondents that a whopping 28% of Americans admit to participating in, quote, malicious online activity directed at somebody they didn't know, including making fun of a stranger or deliberately making controversial or inflammatory statements meant to annoy strangers.
I love that they admit that. Like, no, I go around trying to annoy people. Okay.
It's amazing.
Anna, I wonder who these people are. Are they younger or older? Do we have an answer to that? Are they male or female?
So the majority of them are male, okay? But I should also note, before we go into demographics further, another 23% have maliciously argued over an opinion with a stranger online, which I'm part of that demographic. I've done that, but maliciously is not the right word to say it. Like, usually it'll be a political issue that I feel passionately about, and I'll debate it not just to rile someone up, but because I feel that my voice needs to be heard, right?
Your voice needs to be heard.
Which, by the way, is always counterproductive. Don't engage in any type of political discussion online.
That's not true.
No. If you're on social media, let me be specific about that. Don't do it.
Oh, because if you're on Facebook and then
or Twitter,
and then all of a sudden people are gonna catch feelings and stuff like that.
No, it's not even that. I think that when you're arguing over social media, it's just not the most effective way of getting your point across, especially on something like Twitter where you're limited by the number of characters.
Well, that can put you in trouble. I hear you, but I think the best place to get into arguments is on Young Turk's YouTube videos in the comment section. That's where I would really go house if I were you. Oh, you already do. Okay. So, but I'm with you. Trolling is more specific. It's not you get angry and you yell at the guy maliciously or anything.
Yeah.
It's to get under people's skin so that they get pissed off. Like you're trying to agitate them.
So, and look, there's a big difference between people who go on our videos and they criticize us, and it's like a legitimate criticism, versus those who go on there and they say things that are inflammatory just to get a rise out of you, right? So, for instance, if someone comments on like how I look pregnant, like obviously I don't look pregnant, and that person is just saying that.
Oh no, I'm part of the 28% of Americans that are trolling. I just trolled you live.
You want to talk about looking pregnant?
Oh damn!
You see that? I'm just kidding. Neither one of us look pregnant. Let's move on.
Okay.
But yeah, like, so I think that there are legitimate criticizers, and then there are those individuals who say things that don't make any sense just because they want to get a rise out of you. Now let's go to demographics. Obviously, millennials are more likely to be part of the trolling community. In fact, they're twice as likely
like that there's a community.
Yes, they're twice as likely to participate in such behavior compared to people aged 55 and over.
I'm surprised by that number. I would think that they'd be a million times more likely.
Yeah, I agree.
There are people that are above the age of 55 that are wasting their life trolling.
100%. There's no question.
I'm surprised that they are, but I guess so. Like man, if you're over 55 and you're still trolling, oh, I feel so bad for you.
We see you trolling. We hating.
Dude, get a life, get a life. For younger people, I get it. They're just shits and giggles. They're having fun online, right? I remember when I was a kid, I was super annoying. Of course, I no longer am. But I used to mess with people all the time. I was king of bust nuts. So this is just bust nuts on the internet.
Yeah. What's also kind of fascinating is that some of the people who engage in trolling don't even really know what that term means, right? So of the respondents, 55% of them reported that they never had heard the word troll. Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Right.
Look, online anonymity makes it very easy for people to release whatever kind of anger they have or whatever kind of frustration they have on the internet without any type of consequence or any ramifications. And like, as someone who is online on a daily basis and receives that kind of stuff on a daily basis, you just have to have thick skin and ignore it, right? But I just find it so, I'm just gonna say it, I find it so sad, right? Where like, that's where you get your enjoyment, by like poking people and trying to get them to react to you being an idiot.
You're right. Yeah, the guys who are messing around, I don't mind as much. The guys who genuinely believe the crazy things that they believe, right? I feel bad. I'm like, I want to help. I want to correct them. I want to help them, right? But I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. So no. Oftentimes I've learned better, but sometimes I get.
Sometimes you get sucked in.
I know. And then they have so much
it.
fun. They're like, I trolled them.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Now we talk about porn. There has been an interesting twist in the revenge porn scandals that we've seen throughout the country. Oftentimes when we report on these stories, it has to do with a male ex-lover who's posting naked pictures of his ex-girlfriend or naked videos of his ex-girlfriend online. Well, now there are some cases of women that are doing something similar, except they're not posting pictures of their ex-boyfriends. They're posting pictures of their ex-boyfriend's new girlfriends.
Damn.
Okay? So this is woman-on-woman crime, okay? And we're going to give you the details on this.
Any video?
And we don't have video, unfortunately. Everybody turned this off. They're not watching it anymore.
They're like, oh, where's the girl's fight? Oh, God damn it.
Damn it. All right, but there have been a number of states, about 13 states in the U.S., that have passed laws making revenge porn a crime. In some states, it's a misdemeanor. You could face up to 1 year behind bars if you are caught posting a nude image online without that individual's consent. Now, one person who recently got caught was a 28-year-old by the name of Rachel Lynn Craig in Virginia. Virginia is one of those states that has these revenge porn laws. Here's what she did. Rachel Lynn Craig, 28, was having an argument with her former boyfriend when she allegedly stole an explicit photo of his current girlfriend from his phone and posted it on Facebook. According to cops, Craig took credit for posting the photo on her Facebook page, warning the victim, quote, not to mess with her.
Okay, well, thank you for the evidence in your case. We appreciate it. Okay. Criminals don't go on Facebook. Okay, and in this case, she is a criminal. Taking a picture, it's stolen, and putting it online, it's a naked picture. So now this is, with women, it's going a lot of different ways. They put pictures of current girlfriends. Another case, it was a picture of an ex-girlfriend, and there's a lot of jelly action going on, and resulting in dramas. And then perhaps jail. You know, she faces up to a year in jail and a $2,500 fine.
Yep.
So they're not playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the law should be applied fairly and equally among both sexes. And if a woman, first of all, if she stole the image from the guy's phone, that in and of itself should be a crime and she should face consequences for that. And then she goes the extra mile to post that picture online. Look, a lot of people, especially when we did the nude celebrity hacking thing, people didn't understand the severity of it, right? They're celebrities, it's not that big of a deal, they're already rich and famous. But here's the thing, when it comes to ordinary citizens, when their nude pictures are posted online without their consent, it could literally ruin their lives, right? It shouldn't ruin their lives, but we live in the type of society that will punish women for those kinds of images. So let's say there are naked pictures of me online. Here at TYT, there probably wouldn't be a problem. You guys would probably keep me hired here, right? But in other places, oh, she has a bad reputation. If I wanted to be a teacher, they would probably fire me or not even consider hiring me. We've done a number of stories like that. So there should be consequences when someone posts those types of images online without consent.
Yeah. Now, there's another line here of people that are putting up pictures, not naked pictures. They're putting up pictures and identifying information about women who have cheated with their man, okay? And they got a website called she'sahomewrecker.com. Okay.
Well, you shouldn't have been cheating with my man. How about that?
Okay, now you're in favor of that?
No, I'm not. I'm not in favor of that. Here's what I'm not in favor of, okay? Blasting people in my personal life all over the internet. I think it's so pathetic. It kind of reminds me of that app where you go in, I think it's Lulu or something. You go in and you literally rate the guys that you've been on dates with. And you share all this personal information with them. Keep all that stuff to yourself. Like, I hate people going online and doing their best to ruin the reputations of people that they've dated. Let it go.
And by the way, it's not her fault she's a homewrecker. How, like, 1800s is that, right? Like, if your guy cheated on you, it's his fault. He's the one that has to take responsibility 100%, if you ask me. If my girlfriend or my wife cheats on me, if some guy has sex with her, well, you can't blame the guy. I mean, he got laid. That's not his problem. She's the one making the decision. Do you see what I'm saying? So imagine if I did a website, he'sahomewrecker.com. Like, how sad is that? No. It's the person who's in the relationship that's at fault. So you should do revenge porn against them. No, I'm kidding. Don't do it. It's really stupid.
But also, just one other point I want to make about this. I don't know if laws like this are really that effective, right? Because, yes, the person who actually did that will face consequences for it. But it doesn't change the fact that that photo is now online and it'll exist there forever. There's no way of getting rid of it. You can play whack-a-mole and try to get one website to take it down. It'll be up on another website the next day. That's unfortunately the way it works.
Right. All right, now I'll make you feel, I think, a little good. Let's put up her picture again, Jesus. So she's 28. You're 28, right?
Yeah.
You look much younger than her.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think that was literally the sweetest thing you've ever said to me.
Okay. I'm here to serve.
Okay, so we don't have this story prepared for my hour, but I want to make a quick comment on it. So Renee Zellweger apparently had some work done, okay? And she's unrecognizable. You cannot, if you saw a picture of her in her current form right now, you would not recognize her. And it's because she's had so much plastic surgery and fillers and things like that. And I've always been a big advocate of going the extra mile and taking advantage of modern medicine to stay young, right?
Okay.
After seeing those pictures, that scarred me for life. I used to be very pro-filler, like as soon as I need it, I'm gonna get it. I don't know now, because if someone as wealthy as Renee Zellweger can't get good fillers, how's an average Joe like me gonna get good fillers?
Yeah, I don't even know what a filler is.
It's like Restylane and all that stuff that's supposed to keep the wrinkles away and keep you smooth and stuff.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah, that's so.
Can I ask another unrelated question? I think we were just talking about how old you are, Anna, right? Mm-hmm. I think you've been worried about this even when you were like 12. I'm trying to figure when you were young enough that you weren't worried about aging. Because at 28, I still don't see why you're worried about it. At 21, you were worried about it. I don't know if you were, but I'm just wondering.
My biggest fear is getting old. That's it. That's all I think about. Like, oh my God, I'm getting old. Every day I wake up, I look in the mirror, I'm like, is that a new wrinkle? My life is over.
When did that start, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's because there's so much emphasis on the way you look, right? So obviously, I would like to think that I bring more to my career than the way I look, but that's still a big part of it too.
Okay, I got bad news for you. You're one of those people who's going to live out your greatest fear. Because we all get older.
I know, I know.
It's not like if your greatest fear was tarantulas, you might have been able to avoid it.
No, I know. It's unavoidable. And it's not just the look element to it. It's the fact that if you don't take really good care of yourself, at some point, someone might have to take care of you. Right?
Yeah, I also don't care about that.
No,
People
that
always
one,
get tripped out about
No,
that.
that one I understand. The worst thing, again, I feel bad every time I see an elderly man or woman trying to get out of their car. And it takes them about 5 minutes to stand up.
Yeah, that's a different issue.
Yeah, you need to be taken care of.
If somebody needs to take care of me, I mean, 222, I hope I have enough money. Like, I don't need it to be like a loved one. If it is great, I love them, and that's great. But if it's like a professional nurse, I hope she's hot and we're good.
No, I can't.
I don't know why people get so tripped out by that.
I get beyond tripped out. One time I walked past a group of elderly people that were being taken care of by, I don't know, just these young kids, right? They were walking down my street. And just seeing them, like some of them are in wheelchairs, some of them can't even walk without someone to hold on to. It literally brought me to tears. Like, it scares me. And I thought about my parents getting that way. No, I'm gonna start crying. We gotta move on.
You guys are weird, man. You guys are super weird.
Yeah, I get you don't have the fear, but you don't understand it. Like, it's the worst thing in the world.
No,
if it's that bad and I'm old enough, I'm like, hey, let's end this right now. I'd rather not be here.
But you guys are nuts.
I'm with you 100%.
No,
if someone has to change me, and that's not, my quality of life is non-existent.
No, I just sit there, eat more subs, watch more movies.
You're ridiculous.
Look, I have the opposite problem. I can't wait to get to like 55 and retire. Every day I wake up whenever I want. And like assuming that I have enough money that I'm not like worried about money, like that I have peace of mind, right? Oh, every time I wake up, like, oh, everybody fucked up. Like, I ain't got shit to do.
He's not retiring at 55.
No.
Okay, get out of here. He's still going to be micromanaging our asses at 55.
Nobody believes. I'll see you at 55. Okay.
We're all going to work at different companies, and he's still going to micromanage us. Like,
okay.
Hey guys, I know I'm supposed to be retired, and I know it's Sunday morning.
No,
but
I'm gonna write books. I'm gonna write books. And Jesus, hold me to it. If I'm single at 65, remember I promised no holds barred. Okay. All right, this has become one giant post-game show. Okay,
sorry.
Let's do 2 more stories at least. Okay?
Damn, really?
Yes, we started late, yada yada.
We're running out of time. Okay. What are the best American cities for conservatives and liberals? Well, we have a handy-dandy list for you, and it was put together by livability.com. So you might wonder, how the hell did they determine which cities are best for liberals and conservatives? Let me tell you how. They used a combination of ideology of the representation, voting of the residents, political leanings of the residents, and how the shopping habits of the residents relate to political affiliation. Livability.com managed to identify where people along the political spectrum tended to live, and cities where they were clustered in high concentrations.
So now looking at the criteria that they use, you get the sense that it's not necessarily quality of living here, but how concentrated libs are and how concentrated conservatives are, and moderates also in different areas. The shopping thing throws me for a loop. I don't understand that one at all. But
is it like if you're shopping at Walmart and buying a gun, you're more likely to be a conservative?
Oh, maybe.
I think that's what they were probably
referring to. And if you're buying
to.
like granola, obviously you're more likely to be a lib, sushi, lib, right? So maybe that's how they did it. But the bottom line is these are where you're going to find like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's take a look at the list of cities and figure out where you'd like to live most.
All right. So let's start off with the 10 best cities for liberals in 2014. So number 1 at the list is obvious. Okay. You have Berkeley, California, which is lovely. Okay. Hoboken, New Jersey, Somerville, Massachusetts, Boulder, Colorado.
Gorgeous.
All right. You have Evanston, Illinois. College Park, Maryland, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Mercer Island, Washington, Alexandria, Virginia, and Newport in Rhode Island.
All right, so two things about this list. One is these are generally lovely places, okay? I don't think that people would mind living in almost any of them. They're really beautiful places in whole, right? Boulder, Colorado is gorgeous. Alexandria is really nice, yada, yada, right? Number two, it's a high concentration of universities.
Yes.
Okay, which, you know, conservatives love to make fun of, like, oh, sitting in your ivory tower. No. Universities are where we educate people, but people with a lot of education are the professors. See, those are the smart people.
Yeah.
So nice cities, gorgeous cities with smart people in it. Not bad. I don't know how Hoboken got on the list, but okay. Hoboken has notoriously fascist cops, by the way, historically. But obviously, it's next to New York, very liberal, and that's probably why they're on the list.
Absolutely. Now, I would love to compare these cities to conservative cities, okay? So
Here
what
we
are
go.
the top 10 cities for conservatives?
Oh, I love this list.
Number 1 is Alabaster, Alabama.
No, I'm sorry, you said that wrong. Alabaster, Alabama.
All right. Then you have Crestview, Florida, Clinton, Utah, Bristol, Tennessee, Odessa, Texas.
Oh, have you ever been to Odessa?
I actually haven't. Have you been there?
Every city on this list is a disaster.
Really? You have Yukon, Oklahoma. All right.
Oh, come on, rest my case.
Slidell, Louisiana, Olive Branch, Mississippi, Peachtree City, Georgia, and Benton, Arkansas.
Okay, obviously, since I'm what one website characterized me as top lib, okay, since I'm a top lib, of course I'm not going to like the most conservative cities, and obviously I'm enormously biased in this case. But really, you really would rather live in Alabaster, Alabama, or Odessa, Texas, as opposed to like lovely Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Newport, Rhode Island, and College Park, Maryland, to all the people who've been in these places. Boulder, Colorado is so beautiful. Now, I'm sure some of these cities, the smaller towns in the South, are also beautiful in their own ways. But to me, the idea of living among a bunch of people who are not as well educated, let's be honest, okay? You do the math on those cities, you're going to find that they're not nearly as educated as some of those college cities, obviously, right? And everybody's conservative, and everybody thinks, oh, gay marriage is horrible, and everybody thinks, oh my God, the immigrants, and it's a race between immigrants and Ebola for who's going to kill us quicker, and oh, it sounds terrible.
I wish I had more commentary for the story, but I feel like there's no city that's better than Los Angeles. So I just...
Okay, well, you want to talk about top lib.
I like Los Angeles, and then coming in at number 2 would probably be Portland. Coming in at number 3 would be San Francisco.
Lib, top lib. I don't know why those cities aren't on the list, because they're probably too large, not as high enough concentration of libs. Right. So then let's go for the city for the centrists.
Okay.
I find this interesting,
All
too.
right, so for this, we don't have a graphic, but it's okay. So number 1 is actually Spokane Valley, Washington. Then you have Bend, Oregon, Indio, California. All right, for centrists. Gainesville, Florida, Albany, Georgia, Boise, Idaho.
Muncie, Indiana.
Muncie, Indiana, Sparks, Nevada, Oregon, Ohio, and Wildwood, Missouri.
Interesting. So those are fascinating towns. What's interesting is that I really want to go to the centrist towns.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I feel like, I wonder why you're so centrist.
Yeah.
I'd like to go meet the humans over there. It reminds me of the road trip that Dave Kohler and I did, where we went past Humansville. And we went to Missouri. And whenever you go through the different states, you always find super interesting things you wouldn't have expected. Lots of Asian food in Springfield, Missouri.
Really?
Also, lots of Asian massage parlors in Springfield, Missouri. I mean, that was a long time ago when we went on that trip. Okay, I'm not saying anything. Okay, and in Dodge, Kansas, we ran into a Mexican festival.
What?
Okay.
Really?
So the centrist towns, the conservative towns, I got to be honest with you, because of my politics, I'm not interested in at all. The centrist towns, those are America, and I have a lot of interest in that.
Yeah. I would visit the centrist towns.
Yeah. I hear Boise's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know, I hear.
I have no interest in Yukon, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Or Alabaster, Alabama.
I've been to Alabama. I wonder if I've been to Alabama.
You know what? I'm going to keep it real. This is going to sound really bad, but I don't really care. I have no interest in going to Arkansas or Alabama or West Virginia or what else? Oklahoma. Did I say Oklahoma? Mississippi? I don't want to go to Mississippi.
No, you're totally wrong.
I want to go to
all that.
Louisiana.
No, the only state you're right about is Oklahoma. There's nothing in Oklahoma. Okay, but it's like, but outside of that, every other state you mentioned is awesome. Okay, I know. It sounds hypocritical, or it's not hypocritical, but contradictory.
Yeah.
Contradictory to what I just said. But I've been to Alabama, I've been to Mississippi, I've been to all those states, West Virginia. I love them all. Okay, and I love experiencing America. I mean, in Logan, West Virginia, it's a city that I often talk about. Yes, when I went, what was that? 2000? No, 2001. There were toothless people. It's true.
I don't want to see that though.
No,
I don't want to
but
see
it was
that.
fascinating.
It's not fascinating.
But no, you learn something from it too, because those guys in Logan, West Virginia, there's this image of like, oh, the Bronx is hard, right? It's true, Bronx is hard, but so is Logan. And when you see them isolated on that hill, and when you drive by and they're going, no, I'm playing. And when you drive, but there's a
my God.
They have their own culture, which is rich and interesting in its own way, but they also have their own despair, right? And so it helps to not make generalizations. Although I like to kid around on the show, it helps to not make generalizations about white people or people in red states or whatever it might be, right? So I've always found it interesting.
Look, if I had unlimited free time, then sure, I guess I'd like to go see the toothless people in West Virginia. But when I think of the very, very finite resource of free time, the last place I want to go is Yukon, Oklahoma, or Logan,
Oklahoma. I gotta agree with you on
West
that.
Virginia.
Although now you got me thinking, what does Yukon, Oklahoma look like? We have a great bannerman in Oklahoma City.
Right.
Maybe I should check it out one day. Okay, listen, we're devolving into post game again because I'm going to write down. I want to talk about hollers more in the post game. Son, you ain't a holler. Anyway, okay, one last story.
No, we can't.
We can't?
No, we're super out of time. We have 12 things to talk about in the post game. Sorry, guys.
All right. That's what we get for blabbing and blabbing. All right, we'll get to the fun, great stories next tomorrow, okay? So live post game for the members, go to tytnetwork.com/PG Live if you're a member. And we do the post games generally about 10, 15 minutes after the show's over, okay? Bye-bye.
You liked that, didn't you?
Well, if you like that, you'll love the whole show. TYT-network.com. Get the whole show as a member.